Nobody saw this coming. What began as just another headline about T's son, King Harris, has exploded into something far darker, far messier, and far more personal than anyone could have anticipated. Social media is buzzing, podcasts are dissecting every detail, and commentators are asking the same chilling question. Is this the moment everything finally falls apart? Because this isn't just about a traffic stop. This isn't just another court appearance. And it is definitely not another celebrity kid acting out for attention. The situation has evolved into a storm of arrests, old warnings resurfacing, viral body cam footage, public humiliation, social media backlash, and one terrifying question that has the internet divided. According to those following the story closely, what we're witnessing is the culmination of years of chaos, years of public confrontations, years of reckless choices, and warning after warning from the one person who understood the stakes better than anyone, his father. T's warnings were clear, almost prophetic. In a moment that now feels chillingly prescient, he described exactly where his son's choices might lead. At the time, people thought he was just being a stern father. But now, with old charges reappearing, a bench warrant, the discovery of a firearm during a traffic stop, and viral body cam footage fueling debates about possible sentences, T's words are returning with a force that is impossible to ignore. The line between prediction and reality has blurred. Just when it seemed King Harris might slow down, step into fatherhood, or finally chart a more responsible course, the headlines got louder. The risks grew, and the consequences escalated. Family tension, public embarrassment, and the resurfacing of past feuds, including rap battles and long-standing online conflicts, pushed the story into a level of chaos that has few precedents in celebrity culture. So what really happened? Is this the inevitable consequence of a spiraling path that everyone saw coming? Or is there another twist hiding just beneath the surface of these headlines, waiting to make the story even more dramatic? Because when you examine the full timeline, the warning signs, the moments of reckless decision-making, and the point at which everything snapped, you begin to understand why this story has captivated millions. Before the traffic stops, before the viral body cam footage, before the internet collectively gasped, King Harris was meant to be something else entirely. Born Clifford Joseph Harris III, he came into a family already steeped in hip-hop royalty. His father, T, is far more than just a rapper. Crowned the King of the South, T is a Grammy-winning artist whose music defined an era of Atlanta hip-hop. His influence stretches across generations, with a career built on both artistry and entrepreneurship. His mother, Tamika "Tiny" Harris, was already a musical legend, a former member of the R&B group Xscape, and a staple in the entertainment world long before King was born. On the surface, King's life seemed enviable. Luxury homes, exotic cars, private schooling, celebrity parties, and cameras documenting every move. Millions watched the family through reality TV shows such as T and Tiny, The Family Hustle and its follow-up T and Tiny, Friends and Family Hustle. For most children, life unfolds quietly. For King, every moment was public. Cameras captured even his smallest actions, and strangers offered instant commentary on his behavior, shaping a childhood unlike that of anyone else. That level of attention breeds pressure, enormous pressure. Imagine growing up knowing your father is one of hip-hop's most respected figures, constantly compared to him, and judged for every choice by millions online. For some, that pressure motivates. For others, it sparks rebellion. In King's case, according to those observing him closely, the rebellion emerged early, initially in seemingly harmless ways. At first, King appeared as a typical teenager navigating adolescence in the public eye. He posted bold messages online, projected confidence, and attempted to prove he was more than just a celebrity child. But over time, these actions evolved into something more deliberate. King wasn't just acting out, he was shaping a persona. He built an image rooted in rebellion, confrontation, and street credibility, an image amplified by social media, where every move was observed, shared, and critiqued. Fans and commentators alike began asking the same question repeatedly. Why would someone born into wealth and privilege gravitate toward conflict and risk? The answer is complex. King Harris was not just experimenting with music, he was experimenting with identity. Around 2020, he began releasing music under the stage name Kid Iron, blending trap-influenced beats with melodic hip-hop. He followed this with his EP, A Thin Line Between a King and a Playa, a title that feels almost prophetic in hindsight. That thin line between legacy and recklessness, privilege and consequence, protection and peril, would come to define the challenges he now faces. Initially, the public response was supportive. Fans were curious to see if King could carve his own path, separate from his father's legacy. He appeared on shows like Wild 'N Out, gaining exposure and building a modest following. But soon, the headlines shifted. Music was no longer the focus. Confrontation and controversy took center stage. Viral clips began surfacing, showing King arguing in public spaces, from parking lots to fast food restaurants. Each clip spread rapidly online, sparking debate. At first, observers laughed it off as teenage drama, but the pattern soon became undeniable. With every viral moment, the question persisted. Why would a young man with access to so much privilege willingly invite chaos into his life? Some attributed it to the unique pressures of growing up famous. Others cited the amplification effect of social media, where controversy spreads faster than accomplishment. Through it all, one person understood the danger more clearly than anyone: T. Long before King's first viral moment, T had experienced his own battles with the law. Arrests, federal weapons charges, prison sentences, and near-career collapse taught him lessons that few could fully comprehend. He knew the trajectory of risky behavior, and he knew precisely where it could lead. In a moment now replayed endlessly online, T gave what can only be described as a prophetic warning during an Instagram live session. Looking directly at the camera, he addressed his son with brutal honesty. If King continued down his current path, incarceration wasn't a mere possibility. It was almost inevitable. At the time, some dismissed T's words as parental tough love. Now, with old charges re-emerging, a bench warrant issued, a gun discovered during a traffic stop, and the social media storm intensifying, those words resonate more strongly than ever. It's a warning that feels less like advice and more like prophecy. Even as King approached adulthood, with the possibility of fatherhood and a chance to pivot his life, the drama only escalated. Decisions grew riskier. Headlines became harsher. Online feuds, both personal and within hip-hop culture, magnified the intensity. Each new development layered additional complexity onto a narrative already teetering on the edge of public fascination and familial concern. King's path is further complicated by the pressures of legacy. He is not just a teenager making mistakes. He is the son of two public figures whose reputations are inseparable from their public personas. Every argument, every legal issue, every controversial post is scrutinized in the context of his parents' fame. This constant public observation adds a dimension of intensity and consequence that previous generations of celebrity offspring did not face. The result is a collision of three forces: personal choices, familial legacy, and public scrutiny. For King Harris, the stakes are extraordinarily high. His every move is amplified, and the internet preserves everything indefinitely. Mistakes cannot be quietly corrected. Confrontations are replayed endlessly, analyzed by millions, and used to draw conclusions about his character, future, and potential. This story isn't just about legal troubles or viral moments. It is about legacy, reputation, and the consequences of living life under constant public surveillance. It is about a young man navigating an identity shaped not only by his own choices, but by the weight of his family's history. The drama surrounding King Harris is not just entertainment. It is a window into the modern pressures of fame, parenting, and the unrelenting influence of social media. In the end, King Harris is at a crossroads. Will he heed his father's warnings and shift course, or will he continue along a path that history suggests leads only to more chaos? The story is still unfolding, Each new headline, each viral video, and each legal development adds to the narrative, keeping fans, commentators, and casual observers glued to the drama. The questions remain. Can King rewrite his story, or is the public record already defining it for him? And more importantly, how will this chapter impact the Harris family legacy for years to come? Prison was inevitable for King Harris. Not a possibility, not a risk, not something likely. It was inevitable. And the weight of that statement hit harder than any headline or viral clip could, because it didn't come from a critic, a journalist, or some stranger online. It came from a father who had already lived that life. T wasn't guessing. He was recognizing a pattern, a trajectory he knew all too well. And that pattern kept worsening as King entered his late teenage years. By that point, confrontations weren't just private arguments or teen rebellion anymore. They were becoming a defining part of King Harris's public identity. The now infamous Waffle House fight in Atlanta, videos of heated disputes in public spaces, and social media posts celebrating arrests like badges of honor all contributed to a narrative building around him. A narrative that seemed to defy the privileged life he had been born into. Each incident added another layer, another warning ignored, until eventually, something happened that made the story impossible to overlook. King Harris was arrested. At first, the charge seemed almost trivial, a seat belt violation. For most, it would have been a minor ticket, a footnote in an otherwise normal life. But what shocked people wasn't the charge, it was his reaction. Instead of embarrassment or regret, King took to social media and celebrated the release as if it were a victory, posting messages about minor setbacks and major comebacks. For some fans, that moment revealed something critical. This was a young man unbothered by consequences. Looking back at the timeline, that minor arrest may have been the first clear sign that something much bigger was on the horizon. Incidents began stacking up. Public arguments, heated feuds, confrontations with family streamed live on Instagram, tensions spilling from private spaces into public view. The questions surrounding King Harris shifted, from simple curiosity about why he was acting out to a much more serious concern. Was anyone able to stop him? T, the father who understood the path better than anyone, had tried. Advice, punishments, private warnings, public admonishments, all of it had been attempted. But according to him, there came a point where nothing worked. When a parent reaches that point, admitting that there is nothing left to say, that is when situations become truly dangerous. And what happened next didn't just create another headline. It triggered the moment that would thrust King Harris into the largest legal crisis of his life. Until then, the chaos surrounding King had mostly lived in the world of viral videos, social media outrage, and public arguments. Fans debated his behavior, questioned his decisions, and critics speculated endlessly. T's warnings, though dire, were still just warnings. That changed one October night in 2024, when a seemingly ordinary drive turned into the most consequential moment of King's life. It happened in Dunwoody, Georgia. According to police reports, King was driving a BMW, leaving a gas station, when he pulled out directly in front of a patrol car, nearly causing a collision. What might have been a routine traffic stop escalated immediately. The officer activated his lights and the BMW was pulled over. From the first steps, the encounter grew tense. The official report and body camera footage reveal the details. As the officer approached, the strong odor of marijuana inside the car immediately raised suspicion. But what followed made the situation far more serious. A firearm was visible on King's hip, in plain view. At that moment, everything changed. The officer instructed King to place his hands on the steering wheel. According to the footage, he complied without resistance, staying calm and cooperative. But the presence of the firearm, combined with the potential for other legal violations, turned a routine stop into a highly dangerous situation. Every action, every decision in those moments would carry weight far beyond the ordinary consequences of a traffic stop. The story of King Harris is one of contrast, born into privilege yet drawn to conflict, raised in wealth yet attracted to risk. It's a story of repetition, echoing the challenges his father faced years earlier. T had endured arrests, federal weapons charges, public embarrassment, and prison time. He had survived the kind of life most people only read about in headlines. He knew the trajectory King was following and had warned him repeatedly. But even the most careful preparation and loving guidance couldn't prevent the unfolding drama. What makes this situation different, and arguably more difficult than T's own challenges, is the era in which King grew up. Unlike his father, who could make mistakes largely out of public view, King's life has been documented from birth. Cameras captured him on reality shows, social media chronicled his every action, and the internet preserved it all. Mistakes that might have once faded quietly are now immortalized in viral clips, replayed thousands of times, dissected by strangers, and used to shape public opinion. By the time the October 2024 incident occurred, King Harris was already a figure defined by both privilege and recklessness. Social media had turned every argument, arrest, and public confrontation into entertainment, commentary, or debate. Each viral clip reinforced the narrative of a young man at odds with his circumstances, his family, and, increasingly, the law. The traffic stop was not merely another headline. It was the culmination of years of public scrutiny, risky behavior, and ignored warnings. The arrest underscored a recurring pattern in King's life. Every misstep becomes a story, every choice amplified, and every warning ignored. The presence of the firearm during a traffic stop didn't just elevate legal stakes, it transformed public perception. It forced fans, critics, and observers to confront the reality of a young man whose actions were now colliding with consequences in the real world. What makes King's story compelling and terrifying is the tension between potential and peril. Born Clifford Joseph Harris III, he entered the world with opportunity, wealth, and a legacy few could imagine. Yet those advantages came with enormous pressure. Every choice he made was observed, analyzed, and judged. Every misstep became part of a permanent public record. And for King, the combination of inherited fame, public exposure, and personal rebellion created a perfect storm for legal and social consequences. The father-son dynamic adds another layer to the drama. T isn't just a parent watching from the sidelines. He is someone who has navigated the exact path his son is now on. He knows the consequences, he knows the mistakes, and he has repeatedly tried to prevent history from repeating itself. But the October traffic stop, the gun discovery, and the viral attention surrounding it are proof of how difficult that is in the digital age. In an era where nothing disappears and the internet magnifies every moment, King Harris's life is now under a microscope, unlike anything his father faced. This isn't just a story about a traffic stop or a minor legal violation. It's about how public scrutiny, social media culture, and family legacy intersect to shape a young person's life. It's about a teen navigating fame, pressure, and rebellion while the world watches, records, and judges every action. The legal consequences, the public reaction, and the personal ramifications all converge in one explosive moment, turning minor mistakes into crises and private struggles into viral drama. As of now, King Harris stands at a crossroads. The traffic stop and its aftermath mark a critical turning point, one that could define his future in ways that headlines and social media posts cannot fully capture. Will he heed the warnings, take responsibility, and attempt to reshape his public image? Or will the pattern continue, compounding mistakes and legal issues into a larger crisis? For T, the warnings were clear. For the public, the fascination is relentless. For King, the consequences are unavoidable. This story is still unfolding. Each new clip, report, or development adds layers of complexity and tension. It is a narrative of family, fame, mistakes, and consequences. King Harris is no longer just the son of two famous parents. He is a public figure navigating his own legal, social, and personal challenges under the brightest spotlight imaginable. And whether this story ends in redemption, further chaos, or something in between remains uncertain. But one thing is clear. The path King has chosen carries consequences that are as inevitable as they are unforgettable. When authorities ran King Harris's information through their system during the October 2024 traffic stop, what they discovered was alarming. There was an outstanding warrant for his arrest. This wasn't a new charge. It was tied to an older case quietly lingering in the background for months. Back in 2022, King had been charged with multiple serious driving offenses: speeding, driving on a suspended license, and driving under the influence of drugs. Instead of resolving these charges, he failed to appear in court, which automatically triggered a bench warrant for his arrest. For years, that warrant had remained active, largely unnoticed in the broader public eye. King continued living his life as if it didn't exist, until that traffic stop changed everything. Standing next to his car that night, the officer realized this was no routine violation. King was now facing a serious legal situation, carrying a visible firearm while having an active warrant from previous criminal charges. He was arrested immediately. Body camera footage later captured the arrest in chilling detail. The officer carefully removed the gun from King's hip, secured it, and placed him in handcuffs. 2 passengers were in the vehicle, but King was the only one taken into custody. He was searched, escorted to the patrol car, and transported to DeKalb County Jail. At first, it seemed like this arrest might quietly fade into the sea of celebrity incidents. But that didn't happen. Within hours, the body cam footage leaked online. It showed every detail: the officer approaching, discovering the firearm, the arrest itself, and King sitting in the back of the patrol car, not scared, not apologetic, but frustrated. That image alone drew widespread attention. Clips spread across YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Comment sections exploded with reactions, memes, and debates about what this arrest meant. Public opinion quickly split. Some viewers were pathetic, noting that King had complied with officers and hadn't resisted. Others saw it as confirmation of the warnings his father, T, had been issuing for years. The tension escalated further because just weeks before the arrest, King had publicly claimed during an Instagram Live, "I don't even own a gun." Now, the footage directly contradicted that statement, and online critics seized on it as a central point of the controversy. The story quickly dominated headlines. Fans, bloggers, and news outlets dissected King's social media history, analyzing every post, every interaction, every video clip for clues. What became clear was that this wasn't just a single incident, it was a pattern. The Waffle House fight, viral arguments, the DUI, suspended license, failure to appear in court, and now the firearm discovered during a traffic stop all formed a cohesive narrative. Each piece of the puzzle revealed a young man caught between privilege and recklessness. Once again, T's words resurfaced: "If he keeps this up, prison is inevitable." That statement, once dismissed by some as a tough parental warning, now carried a weight that no one could ignore. Fans and observers asked the unthinkable: was this the moment his father's prediction finally came true? But just when the story seemed to reach its peak, a second twist made everything even more explosive. Because the legal consequences were only the beginning. While King was facing the fallout from his arrest, another fire was already igniting, this one in the world of hip-hop itself. King was about to be pulled directly into one of the most unpredictable rap feuds in recent memory, and it involved one of the most ruthless figures in the industry, 50 Cent. The moment King stepped into this war, the situation escalated beyond anything anyone could control. Just when it seemed like the legal drama surrounding him was enough, he made a choice that would turn the story into a full-blown cultural and social media explosion. The feud actually began years earlier between T and 50 Cent. For a long time, tension had simmered quietly between the two legends, mostly over a proposed versus battle, an online music showdown where iconic artists play their biggest hits head-to-head. T had publicly expressed interest, confident in his catalog and legacy, but 50 Cent reportedly backed out. Initially, the tension was limited to playful jabs, interviews, and minor social media commentary, the kind of rivalry hip-hop fans live to watch. Everything changed during Super Bowl weekend 2026. T reignited the feud publicly, accusing 50 Cent of dodging the Versus battle. Social media buzzed and fans debated who would win. But 50 Cent didn't respond with music. He responded the way he often does, with social media trolling. And this time the target wasn't T, it was Tameka Tiny Harris, King's mother. 50 Cent posted a photo of Tiny with a mocking caption. Within minutes, outrage erupted. Fans of the Harris family flooded the comment sections. Memes spread rapidly. What might have been just another celebrity spat had suddenly become personal, and King Harris decided he wouldn't remain silent. Unlike previous controversies, King responded aggressively. He jumped onto Instagram, launching a series of posts directly at 50 Cent. At first, they were typical rap beef insults, mocking past feuds, referencing controversies, and questioning the rapper's reputation. But then King crossed a line that shocked even seasoned hip-hop fans. He posted an image referencing 50 Cent's late mother, Sabrina Jackson, a tombstone bearing her name. The caption, even more provocative, read, "Dig up your mama." The post went viral instantly. The internet exploded, outraged by the level of disrespect. Even in a culture where rap beefs are often extreme, targeting a deceased family member was widely viewed as unconscionable. Fans were divided. Some condemned King's post as crossing the line of decency. Others saw it as a heated, albeit misguided, retaliation. Still, the backlash was immediate and intense, adding another layer to the already spiraling situation. Social media, blogs, and forums dissected every word, image, and action. The story was no longer just about legal trouble. It had become a full-blown cultural moment, intertwining fame, family, and public feuds. Meanwhile, the original traffic stop and arrest remained a significant factor. The combination of legal issues and public outrage created a perfect storm. Observers began to connect the dots. Years of minor controversies, viral fights, social media posts, ignored warnings, and now, legal jeopardy combined with one of the most personal and shocking moments in recent rap history. The narrative was evolving faster than any single news cycle could contain. T's earlier warnings took on new significance. He had lived through public scrutiny, arrests, and legal battles. He had known the consequences of escalating reckless behavior, and now, watching his son P into a feud of this magnitude, the parallels were painfully clear. Every choice, every public action, every viral clip seemed to reinforce the pattern he had warned about for years. The situation highlighted a difficult truth about growing up in the public eye. King Harris was raised in fame, wealth, and scrutiny. His every misstep was documented. Social media amplified minor incidents into viral phenomena. Even when intentions were misunderstood, consequences were immediate and permanent. Legal issues, family reputation, and public perception collided in a way few could navigate successfully. The feud with 50 Cent, combined with the arrest and the leaked body cam footage, created a moment where public and legal pressures merged. It was no longer possible to separate personal choices from public perception. Every post, every comment, every headline became part of a larger narrative, a narrative about legacy, rebellion, and the price of living life under a magnifying glass. For King Harris, these events marked a critical turning point. The legal issues from his traffic stop were serious, but the social ramifications of stepping into a feud with one of hip-hop's most notorious figures escalated the situation to a level few could recover from. What had begun as a minor traffic violation and a bench warrant had now snowballed into a multi-layered crisis involving family, social media, and some of the most powerful voices in music. This story is not just about an arrest, a gun, or a viral video. It's about a pattern of choices, a trajectory shaped by fame, pressure, and rebellion. It's about the collision between personal impulses and public consequences, between inherited legacy and individual responsibility. And it's about a young man who may have underestimated the full weight of his actions until the consequences hit all at once. King Harris's saga, legal trouble, viral controversies, social media battles, and now a highly personal rap feud, illustrates how modern fame magnifies every decision. Each moment builds upon the last, forming a chain reaction that can quickly spin out of control. The arrest and gun discovery were the catalyst. The feud with 50 Cent was the accelerant. And the viral response from the internet ensured that this was no longer just a private family matter. It was a public spectacle, a test of judgment, reputation, and legacy. Whether King can recover from this is uncertain. The traffic stop, the bench warrant, the viral footage, and the rap feud all form a storm few young people could withstand. His father's warnings, once ignored or underestimated, now resonate with clarity. Patterns matter. Consequences are real. Choices carry weight. And for King Harris, the coming months and years will likely define not only his career, but also how the world remembers him, and whether he can escape a path that T predicted years ago. This story is still unfolding. Each development, whether legal, social, or personal, adds to the tension. King Harris is no longer just a celebrity kid. He is a public figure navigating a complex web of legal, social, and cultural challenges. And the decisions he makes next will determine whether this moment becomes a turning point toward accountability or another chapter in a spiral that seemed, from the start, tragically inevitable. That moment marked the point when things truly spiraled out of control. The backlash was instant. Social media erupted with criticism, disbelief, and heated debate. Fans and observers split into opposing camps. Some defended King Harris, arguing he was only responding to defend his mother after 50 Cent publicly mocked Tiny online. Others, however, felt he had crossed a line that shouldn't have been touched. Perhaps the most surprising reaction came from someone closest to King, his own father, T. Known for his own fierce reputation in the rap world, T admitted later that even he felt the situation had gone too far. In interviews, he recounted seeing a t-shirt King had worn, featuring 50 Cent's mother printed on it. "That's enough," T reportedly said immediately. He instructed his son to stop. For a man accustomed to brutal rap rivalries, T's warning carried serious weight. He understood a truth that King might not have fully grasped. 50 Cent doesn't fight like most rappers. He doesn't always respond with music. Instead, he has built a career on humiliation, on dismantling opponents in the court of public opinion. His weapons are wit, strategy, and social media, not just lyrics. But what followed next shocked everyone watching. Instead of launching a full-scale attack on King Harris, 50 Cent responded in a way no one anticipated. He posted a single meme on Instagram, a cartoon frog with the caption, "Lol, that was it. No diss track, no lengthy rant, no angry video, just a meme." For many, that response was even more devastating than a direct attack. It implied that 50 Cent didn't even view King as a legitimate threat. He wasn't worth the ire. Social media users dissected every element of the moment. Fans debated whether King had overplayed his hand, whether he had embarrassed himself by escalating the feud so aggressively. Others speculated that 50 Cent was simply waiting for the perfect moment to strike back. Meanwhile, the legal issues surrounding King Harris continued to build quietly in the background, largely unnoticed as the rap feud dominated the conversation. Then, reports began circulating across social media that sent shockwaves through fans and observers alike. Rumors spread that King Harris could be facing a 5-year prison sentence. Videos on TikTok, Facebook posts, and YouTube thumbnails screamed warnings of impending doom, creating a wildfire of speculation and fear. The narrative shifted again. What had started as a rap feud was now intertwined with the potential of serious legal consequences. Suddenly, the son of one of hip-hop's biggest stars seemed like he could actually face prison. Fans asked questions. Was the sentence real? Had a judge already made a ruling? Was T trying to intervene behind the scenes? There were no clear answers, only speculation and growing anxiety. This was no longer simply a story about music or social media drama. It was about legacy. T had fought his way out of the streets, building an empire through talent, determination, and careful choices. Now, it appeared his son was walking directly back into the chaos his father had spent decades trying to escape. As the story spread, public reaction intensified. The internet was no longer just watching, it was judging. The rumors of a possible sentence created a frenzy unlike anything King Harris had previously experienced. Within hours, discussions erupted across the digital world. Hip-hop blogs analyzed every detail, TikTok creators posted breakdown videos, Twitter threads dissected King's history. Comments poured in from fans, critics, and observers who had followed the Harris family for years. The reactions were brutal. Some expressed sympathy, pointing out the pressures of growing up as the child of celebrities. Every misstep, every argument, every personal moment becomes public, replayed endlessly online. Fame amplifies mistakes, but many others saw King Harris very differently. To them, he represented frustration, a young man born into opportunity yet seemingly determined to squander it. Posts began trending with comments like, "People would kill to have the life he was born into," or "How do you grow up rich and still act like you're in the streets?" Critics accused him of trying too hard to prove something he didn't need to. One theme repeatedly emerged. T warned him. Those 3 words, taken from older clips of T speaking about his son, spread across the internet like wildfire. In those videos, T didn't defend or excuse King. He spoke with a brutal honesty that shocked many viewers. He admitted seeing his younger self in King and recognized the pattern all too clearly. "If he keeps moving like that, prison is inevitable," he had said. Now those words resonated more than ever. On TikTok, creators stitched together a timeline of King Harris's actions. The Waffle House incident, viral social media arguments, the traffic stop, firearm discovery, and the active bench warrant. Each clip stacked on top of the next, forming a narrative impossible to ignore. For many viewers, it looked like a disaster unfolding in slow motion, a chain reaction built over years of choices and missteps. Voices inside the hip-hop community began weighing in. Industry commentators debated whether King Harris had been trying too hard to construct a street persona, attempting to gain credibility in rap by mimicking struggles he had never lived. Authenticity matters in hip-hop culture, but critics argued that King's situation was unique. He wasn't someone trying to escape poverty or hardship. He was the child of 2 successful entertainers with access to wealth and resources that most artists could only dream of. That contrast between opportunity and behavior became central to the discussion. Was King chasing an image that didn't belong to him? Was he trying to escape his father's shadow? The questions swirled, unanswered, as the Harris family mostly remained silent. Tiny Harris, who had defended her son in the past, stayed unusually quiet during this wave of controversy. That silence fueled speculation. Were they handling things privately, or had the situation become too complex to address publicly? Then came the reaction from 50 Cent's side. Fans, analysts, and observers watched closely, expecting a calculated counterattack. Social media had already transformed his feud with King into something intensely personal, with every post, every meme, and every comment magnified. The moment King crossed the line by referencing 50 Cent's late mother had made the stakes higher than ever. Yet 50 Cent's measured response, his single "lol" meme, only intensified the conversation. It suggested a larger strategy at play. He didn't need to escalate immediately. He could let King incriminate himself with his own actions, allowing public perception to act as a weapon. And it worked. The internet, once a bystander, became an active participant. Every comment, post, and clip contributed to the narrative, forming a pressure cooker of public scrutiny. King's legal issues and social media decisions were no longer separate events. They merged into a singular, inescapable reality. The story wasn't just about mistakes. It was about consequences amplified by fame. Each incident, no matter how minor, contributed to the public perception of inevitability. Observers noted the pattern: repeated viral controversies, public confrontations, and now a feud with one of hip-hop's most notorious figures. The stage was set for consequences that could be severe and irreversible. Industry insiders and commentators began to reflect on the pressures of being a celebrity child. Every action is amplified, every choice scrutinized. King Harris's situation became a cautionary tale about the collision of privilege, recklessness, and social media. What might have once been a private mistake had become public spectacle, magnified by the internet and shaped by public judgment. The online frenzy highlighted deeper cultural tensions. On one side were those defending King, acknowledging the pressures of fame and the complicated nature of celebrity life. On the other were critics, emphasizing personal responsibility and the consequences of reckless behavior. The debate wasn't just about legality or music. It was about image, reputation, and the responsibilities that come with privilege. King Harris's actions now existed in a digital arena where past, present, and potential consequences converged. Social media users dissected his every move: viral fights, arrests, legal history, and now his feud with 50 Cent. Each moment stacked upon the last, reinforcing the narrative that T had warned about years ago. Fans revisited old interviews, traffic stops, and viral clips, connecting patterns that pointed to an inevitable crossroads. In many ways, the situation became a test of legacy. T had escaped the streets and built an empire through talent, perseverance, and careful decision-making. Now, his son seemed poised to repeat mistakes, testing the limits of fame, fortune, and forgiveness. The pressure wasn't only public, it was personal, familial, and legal. The online debate, the legal scrutiny, and the feud with 50 Cent created a perfect storm. The story became more than headlines. It became a discussion about accountability, choices, and the consequences of living under constant public observation. For King Harris, each post, video, and action contributed to a narrative that was no longer just about mistakes. It was about pattern, consequence, and perception. The internet had become judge, jury, and chronicler. Every viral post, every clip of body cam footage, every feud-related meme added to the pressure. King Harris was caught in a whirlwind of fame, scrutiny, and family expectations, navigating a world where one wrong move could have long-lasting repercussions. The story was far from over. The combination of legal consequences, social media backlash, and family dynamics created a scenario few could manage. Each development, whether a court update, social media post, or public statement, would add weight to the narrative. King Harris's actions were no longer private missteps. They were part of a high-stakes public story, where reputation, legacy, and consequences intersected in real time. What had begun as a series of seemingly small incidents, the Waffle House fight, social media arguments, traffic stops, and bench warrants, now culminated in a collision of legacy, public judgment, and legal jeopardy. The stakes were high, the audience vast, and the lessons clear. Patterns matter, choices have consequences, and the internet never forgets. For fans and critics alike, one question dominated every conversation. Would King Harris learn from the warnings his father had given years ago, or would the trajectory continue toward the same outcome T had feared? The answer remained uncertain, but the story served as a reminder of how quickly fame, decisions, and public scrutiny can converge, and how precarious the life of a celebrity child can truly be. By the time the situation had reached 27 minutes and 11 seconds in public scrutiny, mockery had become the dominant reaction. 50 Cent has built an entire persona online around one thing: trolling rivals. He's mastered the art of observation, knowing when to attack, when to wait, and when to simply let his presence dominate a conversation. In the case of King Harris, 50 Cent didn't directly escalate the feud with words or music, but his reactions made it clear that he was watching every development unfold with amusement. The meme he posted, a simple cartoon frog with the caption "lol," spread almost as fast as the original controversy itself. For many viewers, that small action perfectly summarized the imbalance between the two sides. One man was a veteran of decades of rap battles, business acumen, and public scrutiny. The other was a 19-year-old trying to carve out his own identity, suddenly thrust into a feud he wasn't fully prepared to handle. Fans weren't the only ones reacting. Media outlets began raising questions that went beyond rap drama. They asked, what happens when the children of famous rappers try to enter the same industry? This isn't a new phenomenon, and King Harris certainly wasn't the first to face public scrutiny. But the pressure on him was enormous. Every move he made was measured against the legacy of his parents, compared to the generation that came before him. Every mistake became a headline. Every misstep was magnified. In King Harris's case, the comparisons were especially stark. His father, T, had already walked a path filled with legal trouble, public humiliation, and eventual redemption. T had served time in prison, faced house arrest, and spent years rebuilding his reputation. He had endured the harsh spotlight of fame, yet turned it into a story of success, perseverance, and cultural influence. Now, people were asking whether King would follow in his father's footsteps toward redemption, or whether he would repeat the mistakes without ever reaching the comeback that had defined T's legacy. As this debate grew louder, a phrase began appearing everywhere online: "Goodbye forever." Initially, it appeared in dramatic YouTube titles exaggerating the consequences, but then it started showing up in comment sections, threaded across Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok discussions. People used it to describe what they feared might be happening to King Harris's future, not just a goodbye to freedom, but a potential farewell to the life he could have had. For many observers, this was deeply tragic. Despite all the controversy, King Harris was still extremely young, still at the beginning of his story. Yet if the rumors about a prison sentence were true, that story might take a turn no one wanted to witness. And just when the internet thought the drama had reached its peak, a new twist appeared that complicated everything even further. Behind the headlines, behind the rap feuds, and behind the legal controversies, there was another life involved, a brand new life. King Harris had just become a father, and suddenly the narrative surrounding him changed dramatically. The question was no longer whether King would learn from his mistakes. The internet now wondered, would becoming a father finally force him to mature, or was the damage already done? In November 2024, King Harris announced the birth of his son on social media. The post quickly went viral. His message was simple but symbolic. "Welcome, King JR. Time to take over." With those words, the third generation of the Clifford Harris family entered the world. For a brief moment, fans hoped this might mark a turning point. Becoming a parent has historically altered the trajectory of countless lives. It forces people to think beyond themselves, to consider the future rather than just the present moment. Many believed that parenthood could finally slow King down, making him consider responsibility over impulsive action. T, King's father, seemed to hint at this possibility as well. Speaking about becoming a grandfather again, he combined humor with a warning in classic T fashion. He joked that he planned to raise his grandson in a way that would torment King, just as King had tormented him growing up. Beneath the humor, however, lay a deeper truth. A father who had already lived through prison, fame, and redemption, now watching his own son tread dangerously close to the same mistakes. The irony of the situation is stark. Years earlier, T had been sitting in a jail cell, trying to figure out how to rebuild his life after legal trouble threatened to destroy everything he had built. He paid for those mistakes with federal prison time, house arrest, and years of painstaking reputation rebuilding. But he eventually transformed his struggles into a comeback story. Platinum albums, thriving businesses, reality shows, and a household name in the cultural landscape. All of it stemmed from his determination to turn his life around. Now, decades later, T watched as King Harris approached the exact same crossroads. Perhaps the most painful part was realizing that he had seen it coming long before anyone else did. Back in 2022, when King was still a teenager arguing online and engaging in public confrontations, T had already issued a warning that sounded harsh at the time. If he keeps this up, prison is inevitable. Those words now echoed louder than ever. When examining the timeline surrounding King Harris, a pattern emerges that seems almost impossible to ignore. It started small, a confrontation here, a viral argument there. Then came the waffle hoe use fight, then traffic violations, then a suspended license, then the failure to appear in court, then the arrest involving a firearm during a traffic stop, and finally, the feud with 50 Cent, which escalated into one of the most shocking displays of disrespect fans had seen in years. Each incident felt like another step deeper into chaos. Yet there is hope. Becoming a father, King now faces the opportunity to redirect his path. Parenthood has historically altered lives, instilling a sense of responsibility that nothing else can replicate. For the first time, there is someone dependent on him, forcing him to think beyond the immediate moment, to consider the long-term consequences of his actions. Still, questions remain. Will he rise to the occasion? Will he take the guidance available to him and create a new story for himself and his son? Or will he repeat the mistakes of his father's early years, risking freedom, reputation, and family legacy? The next steps will define not only his personal future, but also how his story is remembered in hip-hop history. The internet, the media, and the hip-hop community are all waiting. Some expect redemption, others anticipate disaster. The truth lies somewhere in between, and it will only be revealed as events continue to unfold. For now, King Harris exists at the intersection of opportunity and consequence, legacy and rebellion, youth and responsibility. Every decision from this point forward carries weight, not just for him, but for the future of the Harris family name. So the question to fans is clear. Do you believe King Harris is a young man growing up under extraordinary pressure, making mistakes but still capable of change? Or is the pattern pointing to something far darker, one that might ultimately prevent a comeback? Was he wrong to escalate the feud with 50 Cent, or was it an instinctive move to defend his family? This story is still developing. The legal process continues, social media will continue to react, and King Harris's next moves will determine whether his life follows a path of growth, redemption, and responsibility, or one of repeated mistakes and consequences. The only certainty is that everyone is watching, and history will judge every decision. The saga of King Harris isn't just entertainment. It's a real-time case study in fame, legacy, and responsibility. It's about what happens when opportunity meets recklessness, and how choices shape not only a life, but a family's name for generations to come. And one thing is undeniable. The next chapter is coming, and no one in hip-hop or the internet will be able to look away.